Do you remember when work meant more than just staring at computer screens and attending endless Zoom meetings? Back in the 1980s, Los Angeles wasn't just the entertainment capital of the world. It was a place where ambition met opportunity on every street corner, where handshake deals still mattered, and where your work ethic could literally change your life overnight. Today, we're diving deep into what it was really like to clock in during the most electrifying decade in LA's working history. From the glittering towers of downtown to the bustling studios of Hollywood, we'll explore the jobs, the culture, and the unforgettable characters that made the 80s the ultimate proving ground for anyone willing to hustle. The first thing you need to understand about working in LA during the 80s is that everything moved faster than it does today, yet somehow felt more personal. When you walked into an office building on Wilshire Boulevard or Sunset Strip, you weren't just another employee number in some corporate database. You were part of something bigger, something that felt like it was changing the world one deal at a time. The entertainment industry was exploding in ways that seem almost impossible by today's standards. Studios were pumping out blockbusters left and right, music videos were revolutionizing how we consumed entertainment, and everyone from mailroom clerks to executive assistants felt like they were living inside their own personal success story. The energy was infectious, and it spread far beyond Hollywood into every corner of LA's working landscape. But let's start with the morning commute, because that alone tells you everything about how different things were back then. Picture this. You're driving down the 405 freeway at 7 in the morning, and while there's traffic, it's nothing like the parking lot nightmare we see today. Most people actually made it to work on time without leaving their house at dawn. The freeways were busy but functional, and you could still have a conversation in your car without worrying about road rage incidents every few miles. Office culture in the 80s was a completely different animal. Dress codes were serious business, especially in the financial district downtown. Men wore power suits with shoulder pads that could double as aircraft carriers, and women pioneered the art of corporate power dressing that would influence fashion for decades to come. Your appearance wasn't just about looking professional, it was about projecting success, confidence, and the kind of ambition that could move mountains. The technology gap between then and now seems almost comical when you think about it. Computers were these massive beige monsters that took up half your desk and could barely handle basic word processing. Most offices still relied heavily on typewriters, filing cabinets that stretched from floor to ceiling, and phone systems that required actual human operators to transfer calls. Everything that takes seconds today took minutes or even hours back then. But somehow productivity felt higher because people weren't constantly distracted by notifications, social media, or the endless stream of digital interruptions we deal with now. Communication happened face-to-face, or through actual phone conversations that lasted longer than 30 seconds. When someone wanted to discuss a project, they walked over to your desk or called a meeting in an actual conference room. Email existed in some corporate environments, but it was primitive and most people still preferred picking up the phone or walking down the hall. This created a work environment where relationships mattered more than efficiency metrics, and where your reputation was built through personal interactions rather than digital footprints. The pace of business was both faster and slower than today, if that makes any sense. Decisions were made quickly because there were fewer layers of bureaucracy and fewer people who needed to sign off on every little detail. When a boss wanted something done, it got done that week, not that quarter. But at the same time, projects had longer development cycles because there wasn't this constant pressure to iterate and pivot every few months, based on real-time data analytics that didn't exist yet. Lunch culture was absolutely massive in 80s LA, especially if you worked anywhere near the entertainment industry. Business lunches weren't just about grabbing a quick bite between meetings. They were theatrical productions where deals were made, careers were launched, and fortunes were won or lost over expensive steaks and even more expensive wine. Restaurants like Spargo, Chinois, and the Ivy became legendary not just for their food, but for the power brokers who treated them like unofficial corporate headquarters. The financial sector was experiencing unprecedented growth, fueled by deregulation, foreign investment, and the kind of optimistic capitalism that defined the decade. Banking wasn't just about managing money, it was about creating wealth on a scale that previous generations couldn't have imagined. Investment firms were hiring aggressively, real estate was booming, and everyone seemed to know someone who had just made their first million before turning 30. But perhaps the most striking difference was the sense of possibility that permeated every workplace. Whether you were working at a talent agency, a tech startup, or a manufacturing company, there was this underlying belief that you were participating in something historic. The economy was roaring, innovation was happening at breakneck speed, and Los Angeles felt like the center of the universe where anything could happen if you worked hard enough and played your cards right. Manufacturing and aerospace industries were absolutely booming during this period, providing thousands of well-paying jobs that didn't require college degrees, but still offered genuine career advancement. Companies like Lockheed, McDonnell Douglas, and Northrop were hiring constantly, pulling in workers from across the country who came to LA, chasing the promise of steady work and good benefits. These weren't just assembly line jobs either. They were skilled positions where craftsmen took pride in building everything, from commercial aircraft to cutting-edge military technology. The defense contracts flowing into Southern California created an entire ecosystem of supporting businesses, from precision machining shops in the San Fernando Valley to electronics manufacturers in Orange County. Workers in these industries enjoyed something that seems almost mythical today: job security. When you got hired at one of these companies, you could reasonably expect to work there for decades, maybe even your entire career, with regular raises, comprehensive health benefits, and retirement packages that actually meant something. But the real magic happened in the smaller businesses that sprouted up everywhere to support the larger industries. Machine shops, tool and die companies, specialty manufacturers. They were all thriving because everyone needed everything custom made. There was no global supply chain dropping off manufactured goods from overseas. If you needed something built, you called a local shop where the owner knew your name and could have it ready by Thursday afternoon. The automotive industry was massive too. Not just the dealerships selling cars, but the entire support network that kept LA moving. Mechanic shops were legitimate career destinations where skilled technicians could make excellent livings working on vehicles that were actually repairable. Cars lasted longer, were easier to fix, and the guys who knew how to fix them were treated with real respect in their communities. Working conditions varied dramatically depending on where you landed, but even entry-level positions often came with benefits packages that would make modern workers weep with envy. Health insurance was comprehensive and affordable. Vacation time was generous and actually used, and overtime pay was real money that could help you buy a house or take your family somewhere special. The concept of work-life balance wasn't even discussed because most jobs naturally provided it without requiring corporate consultants and wellness programs. Speaking of houses, the real estate boom created opportunities for anyone willing to learn the business. Real estate agents, mortgage brokers, construction workers, architects, interior designers, they were all riding the wave of explosive growth as people moved to LA faster than housing could be built. Property values were rising steadily, but not so insanely that regular working people couldn't afford to buy homes in decent neighborhoods. The construction industry was particularly wild during this time. New office buildings were going up constantly, shopping malls were being built in every suburb, and residential developments were spreading across the basin like wildfire. Construction workers could pick and choose their jobs, union membership meant something, and the pay was good enough to support families without requiring second jobs or side hustles. Restaurant and hospitality work took on a completely different character during the 80s boom. Servers and bartenders in popular spots weren't just scraping by between acting auditions. They were making real money from customers who tipped generously and spent freely. The service industry felt more like a legitimate career path, rather than a temporary survival strategy, and many people built successful lives working in restaurants, hotels, and entertainment venues. Even retail work carried more dignity and opportunity than it does today. Department stores like Robinsons, Bullock's, and I. Magnin employed armies of sales associates who received extensive training, earned decent wages, and could advance into management positions without needing business degrees. Shopping was still a social experience where knowledgeable salespeople added real value, and customers appreciated and rewarded good service with loyalty and referrals. The entrepreneurial spirit was absolutely electric throughout the city. Starting a business didn't require venture capital, elaborate business plans, or months of regulatory compliance. You could literally open a shop, hire a few employees, and start building something meaningful with nothing more than hard work and street smarts. Small businesses flourished because the economic environment rewarded innovation and persistence, rather than just access to capital or technological advantages. Union membership was still strong across many industries, providing workers with genuine bargaining power and job protections that seem almost unimaginable today. Whether you worked in manufacturing, construction, entertainment, or transportation, union membership often meant better wages, safer working conditions, and a voice in workplace decisions that actually mattered to management. Looking back at working life in 1980s Los Angeles, it's clear we're talking about more than just jobs and paychecks. We're talking about an entire way of life that prioritized human connections over digital efficiency, where your word meant something and your effort was rewarded with genuine opportunity. The 80s weren't perfect, but they offered something that feels almost foreign today: the real possibility that hard work alone could build a meaningful life. From the power lunch culture of Hollywood to the union halls of the aerospace industry, from the construction sites reshaping the skyline to the small businesses that form the backbone of every neighborhood, working in LA during this decade meant being part of something larger than yourself. It meant showing up every day, knowing that your contribution mattered, that relationships were built to last, and that success wasn't just measured in stock options or social media followers. The technology was simpler, the pace was more human, and the opportunities were real. Maybe that's what we've lost in our rush toward digital perfection and global connectivity. Maybe what made the 80s so special wasn't just the economic boom or the cultural explosion, but the simple fact that work still felt like a fundamentally human endeavor, where effort, integrity, and personal connections could take you anywhere you wanted to go.